Well, Kenya is set to benefit immensely on the technology space, with more and more countries trooping to East Africa to tap into the growing population. One among the countries is Estonia. A country in Northern Europe is eyeing to deepen bilateral trade with Kenya, with technology being at the forefront. KTN Business had an interview with the Honorary Consul, Kadri Humal-Ayal, on key areas of cooperation between the two states and why e-governance will be an important aspect for Kenya to digitize her services. This interview was recorded earlier. Thank you for joining us. We shall be discussing matters to do with trade, and of course Kenya has been at the forefront of trying to lure in new partners when it comes to the business world. Today on the program we have with us Honorary Consul for Estonia, Madam Kadris. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Let's just begin by first getting a clear sense of what are the opportunities that Kenya can tap into when it comes to exchange of ideas, exchange of knowledge, and of course trade between Kenya and Estonia.
Thank you. So Estonia would not seem as an apparent business partner for Kenya. Kenya very often looks for the largest there is in the world. And Estonia is not that. Estonia has a population of 1.3 million, and it is tucked away in the northern part of Europe. But what Estonia offers globally is its experience in ICT, its experience in implementing solutions, in particular Estonia having had the most extensive e-governance applications and platforms running nearly 2 decades.
Let's talk more about the technology that Estonia has. I know very well that there's a strong focus as a country in Estonia actually. There's a strong focus when it comes to using ICT for issues to do with governance, and this cuts across when you look at the government system, the land registration systems. What are some of the aspects that ICT has revolutionized for Estonia, and how are you ranked globally?
Okay. So Estonia, yes, is ranked actually globally in most of the areas that relate to ICT. On cybersecurity, we share position #1. On e-governance, we are considered the leading country in the world. And what that means for Estonia is Estonia saves 6% of its GDP by having implemented e-governance platforms. These have to do with being able to use digital signatures, and digital signatures are not photocopied signature on a paper. Yeah. It's not a scanned signature that you place, but it is actually a secure signing process that is implemented through a mobile ID or a smart ID. And these are some of the tools that Estonia uses, and for that reason, many countries in the world come to Estonia to learn how can e-governance platforms be implemented and to measure the impact of that.
And what are some of the collaborations that Estonia can strike with Kenya?
Estonia has the experience of what it takes to implement what many countries struggle with. And for that reason, Estonia has signed an MOU with African Union. African Union on the aspect of ICT collaboration, specifically sharing our experience. And Estonia doesn't share experience saying that you have to do it the way we do it. We share our experience saying this is how it worked for us. Learn from us, even bypass us in your efforts, but we are there to hold your hand and share what are some of the critical first steps to take. Because very often when starting to implement solutions, it's very often very expensive when you move first to step 3, and then you need to undo your step 3 in order to do step 1 and 2 correctly. Sure. And see, this is something that has been a struggle in many countries, because not everybody actually has experienced in the process of implementing e-governance the kind of wins that Estonia does. Right. Kenya actually can have Estonian expertise on both from the government side, Estonia is ready to sign a government-to-government MOU with Kenya on similar lines, on understanding more about the need for interoperability, on cybersecurity, implementation of blockchain, the kind of laws that need to be reviewed in order to implement digital signatures, and the processes in which to progress on e-governance, particularly because in many countries, e-governance very often comes with a lot of suspicion towards the government, because with e-governance, one would say the government sees too much. But when starting to implement from sections that are of high value to the citizen, we're able to advise on those areas.
Are you able to share with us perhaps specific areas that as Estonia you are looking to work with Kenya when it comes to digitization of government services?
Estonia would first listen to Kenya, because we don't hold the portfolio for any particular aspect of Kenyan government. But in our experience, some of the quick wins would be in implementing systems in schools, e-governance systems for e-school, for better efficiency in school administration and management. For example, the company that has implemented similar solutions in other countries says on the aspect of ghost students, ghost teachers, ghost workers, it normally has a very high expense to the government, particularly where the government is footing the bills. And so elimination of this would immediately make education more affordable for the government to pay the bills, as well as being able to have better administration over exams and reducing frauds associated with that. These would be some of the quick wins. Another area that, and I've lived in Kenya for 25 years, so I understand Kenya to some extent, an area that has very high emotive value, which is land. And Estonia ranks number 6 in the world in ease of managing aspects to do with land ownership, change of ownership, land administration, visibility in regard to land. And that's another area where we believe that there are gains to be achieved in short term, as well as being able to secure government databases. Estonia suffered the first ever global attack on government digital systems in 2007. And from 2008, we have had a form of blockchain securing our systems. And so over 11 years, there has been no data breach, no hacking, or no untraced activities within government databases in Estonia.
Interesting to note that there are companies in Kenya that are also really big on technology, one of them being, of course, KTN. And as you mentioned earlier, you're looking to work with several organizations, but just talk to us about some of the partnerships and collaborations you're doing with some of the Kenyan companies.
Estonian companies indeed have already ongoing projects in Kenya, and it has really provided a very interesting new side to working with technology partners for some of the Kenyan companies that have taken up the opportunity to work with Estonian companies. And yes, BTN is one of the companies that is looking to go deeper and probably implement bigger solutions than what is currently on the market. And so innovation, I think, is one of the ways in which this will really shape out to be very, very interesting.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate. Well, that was our discussion with the High Council for Estonia, just talking to us about trade and, of course, opportunities between Estonia and Kenya. We want to wrap up the show right now. We want to, of course, remind you of our Twitter poll question, where today we're asking you, how is corruption in counties affecting delivery of public service? A lot of you have shared your feedback, but owing to time, we might not be able to sample your views, but we shall definitely encourage you to continue sharing your thoughts, and we will be engaging on our social media platforms. Well, from me and the entire team, it is a very nice afternoon to you. We now pave way to our Swahili crew, which will be coming up with more news from across the country. My name is Abe Gina. Let's do this tomorrow, same place, same time. Remember, 8 p.m., we have an exclusive interview with the KQ Interim CEO, Alan Kilavuka. Make a date with us, 8 p.m. on KTN News.